Ms. Sapp, we are now streaming live.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lawson. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the District Library Book Objection Committee meeting. The purpose of today's meeting is to review an objection to the book titled Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. School-based and district staff, as well as parent and community volunteers, are invited to participate in each committee. Today's meeting will result in a recommendation that will be forwarded to Mr. Forson, St. Johns County School District Superintendent. This committee meeting is public record and therefore subject to sunshine law. It is being live streamed for public viewing. Committee members are not required to have their camera on during the meeting. We are committed to civility and decorum. Please assist us in maintaining a constructive meeting environment by remaining respectful of each participant during the meeting and afterwards. Additional discussion of the objecting party or committee members outside of the meeting is discouraged. Disparaging comments are contrary to district expectations regarding character and civility. Committee members receive several resources in advance of the meeting. The resources include the objecting party's request for reconsideration, a copy of the book, Florida statutes, Florida Department of Education guidance for library media services, professional source reviews, St. Johns County School Board rules, the Library Bill of Rights, and school library media material evaluation checklist. The process for today is as follows. First, the objecting party will have the opportunity to address the committee. They will provide any information they deem compelling or new regarding their request. Next, the committee will have a discussion utilizing the school library media material evaluation checklist. Finally, the committee will determine a recommendation for Superintendent Forson. There are two options: retain the book for a designated level or remove the book from St. Johns County School District libraries. For our meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcome, and we look forward to attaining consensus. Are there any questions? Okay, let us begin. Jean Moore is the objecting party for Slaughterhouse-Five. Ms. Moore, this is your time to address the committee. You have up to 5 minutes to share your objection.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. My concerns with this book are it contains violence, including animal cruelty, inexplicit bestiality, and sexual nudity. The following excerpt is completely sick and disturbing, and what a horrible mental picture it creates. Weary told Billy about the neat tortures he'd read about or seen in the movies or heard on the radio, about other neat tortures he himself had invented. One of the inventions was sticking a dentist's drill into a guy's ear. But the correct answer turned out to be this. You stake a guy out on an anthill in the desert sea. He's facing upward, and you put honey all over his balls and pecker, and you cut off his eyelids so he has to stare at the sun until he dies. Another sick and disturbing excerpt with another horrible mental picture is, you should have seen what I did to a dog one time. A dog, said Billy. Son of a bitch bit me. So I got me some steak, and I got me the spring out of a clock. I cut the spring up into little pieces. I put points on the ends of the pieces. They were sharp as razor blades. I stuck them into the steak way inside and went past where they had the dog tied up. He wanted to bite me again. I said to him, come on, doggy, let's be friends. Let's not be enemies anymore. I'm not mad. He believed me. He did? I threw him a steak and he swallowed it down in one big gulp. I waited around for 10 minutes. Now Lazaro's eyes twinkled. Blood started coming out of his mouth. He started crying and he rolled on the ground as though the knives were on the outside of him instead of on the inside. Then he tried to bite out his own insides. I laughed and I said to him, you got the right idea. Now tear your own guts out, boy. That's me in there with all of those knives. Other concerning content. And he'll pull out a gun and shoot his pecker off. The stranger will let him think a couple seconds about who Paul Lazaro is and what life's going to be like without a pecker. Lazaro was talking to himself about people he was going to have killed after the war, the rackets he was going to work, and the women he was going to make fuck him, whether they wanted to or not. He had a dirty picture of a woman attempting sexual intercourse with a Shetland pony. He made Billy Pilgrim admire the picture several times. The naked Americans took their places under the many shower heads along a white tiled wall. There were no faucets they could control. They could only wait for whatever was coming. Their penises were shriveled and their balls were retracted. Billy took out his pecker out right in the prison night and peed on the floor. Man, said the porter, you sure had a hard on. In my prison cell I sit with my britches full of shit and my balls are bouncing gently on the floor. And I see the bloody snag when she bit me in the bag. Oh, I'll never fuck a Pollock anymore. A sign in there said the adults only were allowed in the back. There were peep shows in the back that showed movies of young women and men with no clothes on. It cost $0.25 into a machine for 1 minute. There were still photographs of naked young people for sale back there too. You could take those home. Those stills were a lot more Mortian than the movies, since you could look at them whenever you wanted to and they wouldn't change. 20 years in the future, those girls would still be young, would still be smiling or smoldering or simply looking stupid with their legs wide open. Some of them were eating lollipops or bananas, and they would still be eating those. And the peckers of the young men would still be semi-erect, and their muscles would be bulging like cannonballs. The magazine, which was published for lonesome men to jerk off to, ran the story so it could print pictures from the blue movies which Montana had made as a teenager. The master of ceremonies asked people to say what they thought the function of the novel might be in modern society, and one said, to describe blowjobs artistically. Is there anything illegal in this book? I think parts of it flirt with the obscenity laws. Is there graphic violence? Yes. The part about the dog just sticks with me. And then throughout the book, until Weary dies, he is physically and emotionally abusive. It still baffles me how people go on and on about how great this book is. It was a chore to read. And so it goes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Committee members, we will now begin our discussion utilizing the school library media material evaluation checklist. Please note, Florida statute states that any materials used in a classroom made available in a school or classroom library or included on a reading list may be objected to for 4 specific reasons. Reason number 1, the material is found to be pornographic or prohibited under section 847.012 of Florida statute. If the majority of the committee finds that material is pornographic, it must be removed. There are 3 other reasons. Reason number 2, the material depicts or describes sexual conduct as described in statute 847.001. Number 3, the material is not suited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material. Or reason number 4, the material is inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used. Could someone from Media Services at this time let us know at what grade level is this material currently available for?
Well, this material is currently available for our high school students in our high school collections.
Okay, thank you, Amelia. So just as we go through the review, just keep in mind that this material is currently available for grades 9 through 12 in the St. Johns County School District. And just going back to our reasons, just a reminder that if the majority of the committee finds that the material to be pornographic, then we would remove the material. If the committee finds that one of the other 3 reasons is a reason that we need to consider the material, then we are making a decision on whether or not there is a grade level that it would be appropriate. Okay, keep in mind that our final task on the form is to make a recommendation to Superintendent Forson, and there are 2 options: retain the book for a designated level or remove the book from all St. Johns County School District libraries. Again, statute is clear that we must remove any title if there is a violation of question number 4. The floor will be open to discussion, and each committee member will have the opportunity to share. Please remember to raise your hand if you'd like to provide any comments. Comments will be summarized to provide an overall committee response for each question. For our meeting today, both agreeable and opposing viewpoints are welcome, and we look forward to attaining consensus. Let's begin. Okay, question number 1 on the school library media material evaluation is really just to clarify that we all understand why the objecting party is has submitted this request. So the objecting party's challenge of the material cites that, and we would refer right back to the reconsideration form that has been filed by Ms. Moore, and we will take what she has placed on her form and we'll place it into our summary. So Ms. Moore indicated sensitive material ratings document. So there was a document in your materials where you could see those sensitive material ratings, explicit violence, animal cruelty, and inexplicit sexual activities, including bestiality, sexual nudity, profanity, and inflammatory religious commentary. So like I said, we'll take her answer to why she's objecting to the material and we'll place it as the answer for question number 1. So moving to question number 2. Questions number 2 and 3, these are just to give Mr. Forson an indication of what was reviewed by the committee so that he understands kind of, did the committee review the specific pages that were cited and any of the crowdsourced reviews. So for number 2, if you reviewed the pages that were cited by the objecting party, please vote yes. If you did not review the specific pages, please vote no.
You may now remove your vote. The vote was 8 yes votes.
So thank you. Following that similar line of thought for question number 3, if you reviewed the professional and/or crowdsourced reviews that were provided, please vote yes. If you did not review those professional and/or crowdsourced reviews, vote no.
The vote for question 3 is 8 yes votes. You may now remove your vote.
Thank you. Question number 4. Is the material pornographic, prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012? If you believe this material is pornographic, you will vote yes. If you believe it is not pornographic, you will vote no.
Ms. Sapp, that is 8 no votes for question 4. You may now remove your vote. We do have a hand raised, Ms. Sapp.
Go ahead, Ms. Wellborn.
Hi, so should we give any notes or comments about our vote right now, or will we discuss that at the end?
You can, yep. If you have a comment to share, you absolutely can go ahead and share that at this time.
Okay,
Question number 4.
The definition of prohibited materials in the statute says that it is both obscene and harmful to minors. That is in 847.012 parentheses 2 parentheses A. I was in the weeds of the laws for this one. And the definition of harmful to minors is 847.001 parentheses 7. And the definition for obscene is 847.001 parentheses 12. And if you would like me to copy that into the chat, that is totally fine. And both the definition of harmful to minors and obscene includes and taken as a whole is without serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. And that and is why I chose to vote no, that it is not pornographic and subject to removal.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wellborn. Okay, we will move on to question, given that the committee unanimously voted that this is not, you don't believe that it is pornographic or prohibited under Florida Statute 847.012. We're going to move on to question number 5. So as a reminder, when we look at questions 5, 6, and 7, we're looking at if we vote that we do believe there's some of this material, we would have to determine then at what, is there a level within the St. Johns County School District where we would think it would be still be appropriate for students. So I'm trying to make sure we get clarity before we vote. So on question number 5, does the material depict or describe sexual conduct defined in Florida Statute 847.001? So if you believe that it does depict or describe sexual conduct, you would vote yes here. If you believe it does not depict or describe sexual conduct, you would vote no.
Miss Sapp, that is um, 7 yes votes and 1 no vote. Let me make sure I got that. We do have a hand raised. I might need everyone to get their, oh, I got it. Everyone can remove their vote now. So yes, it was, sorry, 7 yes votes and 1 no vote. And Billy has his hand raised.
Go ahead, Billy.
I miss out. I voted no on this because, and this might just be my misunderstanding of the question. I was voting no in my belief that while there is sexual content mentioned in here, it's not in violation of Florida State Statute 847.00119. So that was the reason that I voted no for that, because I do not believe it's in violation of those statutes.
Okay, understood. And on this one, just to give the committee a little bit of context, we do have people who vote yes, they believe in some of our books there may be a degree of sexual conduct as defined in the statute, but it doesn't always result in them deciding that the book is inappropriate for high school students. So this one really is all about what's the community interpretation. So, but we'll keep moving along. We have our vote on number 5. So we'll get to number 6. Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material presented? So remember, we're looking at this through the lens of it's currently available to students in grades 9 through 12. So you are voting, is the material unsuited to students grades 9 through 12, their needs and ability to comprehend the material? Yes or no? Is the material unsuited to student needs and their ability to comprehend the material?
Miss Sapp, we have 1 yes vote and 7 no votes for question 6. You may now remove your vote.
Okay, moving on to question number 7, which we acknowledge is somewhat similar, but because it's in the statute, we're going to go ahead and continue. So for question number 7, is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used? So again, this is the material inappropriate for the grade level and age group, which in St. Johns County is 9, 10, 11, and 12, for the group for which it is used? Is the material inappropriate? If you believe it is inappropriate, you would vote yes. If you believe it is not inappropriate, you would vote no.
Miss Sapp, we have 3 yes votes for question 7 and 4 no. I'm sorry, 5 no votes for question 7. 3 yes and 5 no.
Okay, thank you.
We do have a hand up, and everyone else can please remove their vote. We have Abigail first.
Go ahead, Abigail.
For the notes for number 7, my opinion is that I didn't actually enjoy reading the book either, but I think it is a very important, it's important perspective from someone who has lived through a lot of wars, some torture, POW, and if students are old enough to be recruited by the military, which they can do starting at 17, and old enough to sign binding contracts, which they can do at age 18, and there are many students in high school that are 17 or 18, then they deserve to have access to perspectives on both sides of war. And in this case, it would be a very anti-war perspective.
Thank you, Abigail. Billy?
All right. So for number 6, I voted no, that I don't believe this material is unsuited. But I do believe that for the grade level 9 through 12, for the younger grade levels, that there is some material that is more mature in content. And while I do not support in any way removing this book from St. Johns County libraries and classroom use, I do believe that the mature themes make it probably more suitable for our upper level grade 11 and 12 students. And that also ties in with our AP and ACE curriculum. This book is not currently on the reading list for AP or ACE, but it does periodically appear in some of the self-selected readings that students can then use for those tests. So by removing that across, if we removed it across the board, I think that would harm our AP and ACE students. But by limiting it to 11th and 12th grade, I think it might relieve some of that concern about the content, especially for our younger students who may not be ready for that. Again, it's not my favorite book. I agree that with Miss Moore that there is some content that is disturbing, but just because a book is disturbing does not mean that it needs to be removed from our collection.
Thank you, Billy. Elizabeth?
Hi, sorry, I was having a coughing fit. I didn't particularly enjoy reading this book either. And there are particular elements that are disturbing in the book. However, it is a criticism of war, and the difficult parts that came up in the book, the way that I believe they were presented, was a challenge. It wasn't saying that you should harm animals or you should have sex with a pony. It was putting it out there in a way to, I believe, make a reader think about what's right and what's wrong. So it is a difficult book to read. I do have to agree with Billy as well that the older end of the high school age group would be more suited for this. But I don't think it should come off the shelves.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Catherine?
Yeah, I did want to stick up for Vonnegut a little bit. I first read this book as a 16-year-old high school student in the state of Florida. And I didn't really enjoy the book then, although I did find it pretty kind of engaging to read as far as what we were assigned. And this is when I was 16. When I reread it for this committee, I actually did enjoy it more, just in the sense that I could follow it a lot better. And so essentially I have a 16-year-old currently in school. I really don't think that there's any difference between 16-year-olds then and now, with the exception that they have exposure to many more things that are out there than I did 30 years ago. So I really could never see myself saying that high school students are not able to handle this material, because I am living proof that we have for generations. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. So we are now going to move forward with what our recommendation will be for Superintendent Forson. Given the conversations that we've had in the group and the voting, I'd like to recommend that we start with a vote on the material is appropriate for grades 9 and up. The material is appropriate for grades 9 and up. If you agree, if you'll vote yes. If you disagree, if you'll vote no. And just so that you'll know, if we get a no, we'll move forward with
Miss Sapp, that is 5 yes votes and 3 no votes.
Okay, so given that we do have a majority who would like to recommend that the book is appropriate for grades 9 and up, that is what we will indicate to Mr. Forson. Just a reminder to all of you that we do have someone who is taking notes, and all of the summary of notes will be included in the recommendation, Mr. Forson. And let's see, So thank you to all of our committee members for your input and discussion, respectful discussion for today's meeting. We do have 2 final actions that we need to complete in order to conclude our work. The first one is your acknowledgement as a participation on the committee is needed on our recommendation to Mr. Forseman. The recommendation, which will include notes from today's discussion, will be emailed to you. You may acknowledge participation by responding with an email, or you may review and sign the documents at our Media Services office at 10 Hildreth in St. Augustine. We would like to make sure that everyone completes this step by the end of this week. So if you could please just go ahead, as soon as you get the email, if you could respond with your acknowledgement, and that way we can make sure that we have record of participation and agreement with the notes. The second step is that we need you to return your book and any notes that you may have used in your work to prepare for the meeting. Because this is considered a open notice public meeting and it happens in the sunshine, we do need to make sure that we include any notes that were used in preparation for the meeting. So if you'll please return your book and those notes to the location where you picked up your book, that would be great. And also, if you could do that by the end of the week, that would be very helpful to us, just to get all of our books back. Are there any questions before we close the meeting? Okay, this concludes the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.